Well, friends, here we go again. I knew I'd be back real soon, as I told you in yesterday's video update on the upcoming chaos for this coming weekend. And today's Friday the 13th. Well, at least here in Sedona, Arizona. It's just past 5 p.m., almost 5:30 here. I just got done with a full day of clients, and I wanted to get this out because sadly, once again, we are seeing yet another prediction coming into fruition. Israel attacking Iran. Something I've been telling you for a long time now that it's going to happen. This also brings in a whole lot of prophecy, not just predictions, but this is like a whole bunch of prophecy coming into the light right now, friends, as we speak. So, does this mean that we're on the edge of, or perhaps already just entered into, the third global conflict? Well, if you look at some of the past predictions and visions that I've shared with you for over 2 years now, it sure appears to be the case, friends. As sad as it is to say, it sure appears to be the case. We'll have to see how this plays out, but remember, Spirit told me back in 2017 that the year 2025 would kick off a 7-year period, 2025 to 2032, that would be the most intense time for humanity. And look at how 2025 is kicked off already, friends. We're only not even at the halfway point of the year yet. We're just still a few weeks away from the halfway point. So, what possibly else could go wrong, or what else could happen? Now, of course, there's lots of good things happening in the world, too. But with all the craziness and chaos and the transits that are happening right now, it's a little hard to look at that right now when they're having us look over here instead of looking over there, like I told you yesterday. And if you think it's wild now, the second half of 2025 is going to be even more wild, especially July. And as you all are already aware of by now, the early morning hours of Friday the 13th, Israel time, of course, not our time, Israel launched a major attack on not just Iran's nuclear sites, but they also targeted leaders, the specific leader and specific people, leaders and specific people. Which, isn't that against the Geneva Convention? I don't know. I'm not up to date with that, but it kind of sounds like it. Taking out Iran's top military leader. I think he's in charge of the missiles or something like that, but he was a big guy. They also took out 6 nuclear scientists, definitely preventing them from creating a big boom boom. That's probably a good thing in the long run. Sounds like it, but at the same time, it kind of sounds like a targeted assassination, don't you think? Well, exactly what Spirit told us was coming. That's why I bring it up. Spirit told us that many people were going to be taken down, taken out. Leaders in power, people falling from power. That includes military leaders. That includes leaders of countries, corporations, companies, and so forth. So we just saw that all take place. All that with leaders, especially, even the 6 scientists. I'm sure there's 6 leaders of the program that they were trying to kick off there in Iran. So not only that, this is exactly what Spirit told us was coming. Exactly what Spirit told us. One of the things, and this is mixed into my notes here, buses in Israel are going to become a target. Buses and other forms of transportation, especially during the early morning and late afternoon rush hours. So people in Israel, beware of that. Be very aware. And that's probably not just there. I'm sure they're going to be in other places too. Many more leaders are going to fall all around the world and all around the globe in the coming weeks and in the coming months. A majority of them are actually targeted. They're being targeted. Spirit told us several leaders in Iran would fall. Remember one of them was going to be either in a helicopter or a plane crash of some sort, if I remember correctly. And Iran did threaten Israel and the United States and basically gave us both the middle finger. So I bet they're probably regretting that right now. I have no doubt. Well, maybe they're not. Some people are just ruthless and don't care. Maybe they're ruthless and don't care. They likely could be. Giving the United States and Israel the finger, at least that's what they're telling us, I didn't see anybody give anybody the finger. But I predicted this was all coming, and not long ago, I said that conflict was on our doorsteps, if you recall. And I saw United States also entering into a conflict. Remember, we have those alignments, those same transitions in transits in the United States chart that happened during significant times in the United States past. The Civil War. Look what's happening with the protests and the craziness in our country. The signing of the Declaration of Independence and a bunch of other things. 1968 or 62 when all that was happening. Yeah, it's just all kinds of alignments that are going crazy right now. And, I don't know about Israel's chart, but I'm sure that's probably pretty crazy too. And now, Iran, and I say that, as I said in the past, that conflict was on our doorsteps here in the United States, entering a conflict. And now Iran's retaliating. And last I looked, and that was earlier today before my clients, so I haven't had a chance to check in, but I know they were retaliating. And the last I looked, it looked like they hit Tel Aviv. Something managed to get through. I'm not sure. Again, I wasn't able to completely validate that. I saw the video, the smoke, but they didn't completely validate it. But I'm pretty sure. Because remember, that was an area I warned, Tel Aviv. I warned Tel Aviv, and if you recall, I also saw a while back, some predictions take 2 years or longer to play out, and this might have been a couple years ago. I saw somebody planning something in Tel Aviv, like a briefcase, we'll say briefcase, that felt toxic to me in some kind of way. Toxic meaning, I don't know whether that means nuclear or biological or something toxic. That memory comes back to me. Now, knowing that, of course, Tel Aviv was targeted. It's one of their second biggest city in Israel. So another area, again, that we warned in the past. So people in Tel Aviv, please be extremely mindful and safe. I believe they have lots of shelters to get into. This reminds me of another past prediction where I saw visions of some other type of, again, biological or nuclear device being ignited, whether it be in Tel Aviv, I believe it will be Tel Aviv, or whether it be in multiple places. But I don't know why Tel Aviv came out to me so strongly for the past few years. So let's hope not. Let's really hope this is not the case. But right now, the way things are going, it's not looking too good, friends. Now, Mark Rubio in the United States says that the United States wasn't involved at all, even though likely they were. We were. I am in the United States. Because you know why? United States weapons, I guarantee, are being utilized in some way right now in this whole conflict. And remember, the United States evacuated the embassies and the military bases in Iraq, Kuwait, and a few other places. An obvious sign, friends. That is an obvious sign that the U.S. was very, very aware and likely, again, probably involved in some way or another with the decision to, strike Iran's nuclear facilities and an apartment building where these leaders were taken out. Interesting enough. And this is surely a very, very sad sign, friends. This is a sad sign, and it will indeed, unfortunately, get much worse before it gets better. It will get better. I know you don't see that, or you may not see that, or believe that in the near future. But there is a point where there will be some temporary peace, says the spirits. Temporary. Hey, temporary is better than none at all. This could be likely where we begin to see that 7-year peace agreement that's in the prophecies in the book of Revelation take place. That would make total sense. 2025 to 2032, that 7-year window of time that Spirit told us. That back when I heard this from Spirit, 2017, I did a video called Tribulation. Because I figured maybe that's the tribulation. It makes sense. 2025 is a 9-year numerology, endings, death of cycles, getting rid of. 2032 is a 7-year spiritual ascension, shifts in our beliefs, and so forth. And that window of time is 7 years in all. So that could make sense that there could be a peace thing that happens this year. And then 3.5 years later, it's broken, as it says in the prophecy, which would take us to 2028, 2029 maybe. 2029 is going to be crazy. I already know that, but we're not even going to push ahead. Let's get through 2025 first. That's 4 years from now. I'm not even worried about that. Let's get there first. And let's hope that we are lucky enough to make it that far. As my father would always say, you better be a lucky kid that you make it that far. So this is surely a really bad sign, and indeed it's going to get much worse as we now begin to see these radicals that are going to begin to come out of the shadows. Big-time radicals, making very less than smart decisions to attack innocent people, and to do so in very large numbers. Iran is about to also make some very less than smart decisions by hitting the United States indirectly or directly in some way or another. likely raiding our embassies or such. Remember, I had visions of the embassies and such. And even saw a vision I had earlier today. I totally didn't even put in my notes, but Spirit's giving it to me again. I see a truck like a van plowing through the gates of a military base. And I hear, boom booms and big boom. So I would imagine that this truck or van is loaded with some type of explosives. I don't know where this is, but Spirit showed me that earlier and that I forgot all about it. So they're reminding me. Thanks for the reminder, spirits. So again, not a really good sign, friends, because these radicals are going to come out of the shadows and they're looking for large numbers. Not only that, again, Iran making their less than smart decisions by hitting something United States related, which would just bring us even deeper into it. In Netanyahu's speech, he applauds Trump in the United States, basically reeling us right into it, like a fisherman, reeling us nice and smoothly right into it. So I warn you, friends, as Spirit warned us, watch for flags that fly ever so falsely. I put out a video yesterday, Thursday. This is now Friday when I'm recording it. I don't know how quick I'll get it up online. I'm going to try my best. But yesterday, Thursday, I talked about this coming weekend and my feelings that there could be some fear attacks that actually play out over this coming weekend. While folks are so focused on protests, outside protesting, peaceful protests, what have you, and they're focused on their social media and their phones, it was, of course, a warning for, it makes people very vulnerable. Let's put it that way. It makes people very vulnerable. So this was, of course, a warning for United States and my fellow Americans. This is no joke, friends. No joke. You really kind of should just bunker down for the weekend. You might be much better off. And save, the peaceful protests for another day. Just a thought. Especially when we look at these protests and who they're organized by. And I'm not going to go into the details on that. I'm going to keep this as short as possible. And I'll talk about it on Tuesday's Tea Time for sure. But I would bunker down. It just all seems really perfectly aligned for the globalists. I warned in past predictions of vehicles being used as weapons. We've seen this play out multiple times, mostly in Germany. And I strongly got this feeling again today that this is about to become a much larger problem with vehicles. And I saw a vision of a crazed man in a truck plowing towards a crowd. And Spirit says multiple. When I saw that vision, Spirit said multiple. So I took this that there could be multiple on the same day. Multiple in the same day, or perhaps even in the same area, the same city, same country. But that's how I took it when Spirit said that after I saw that vision. We'll have to see, and hopefully it doesn't play out. And as I always tell you, stay away from the roadways and stay away from the large crowds and always be mindful where you're at. I also had visions months ago of people fleeing, if you remember, migrating out of a city. And I felt like, this was kind of like Gaza, seeing people fleeing and leaving. So that would make me think of people fleeing war-torn areas. And now, sadly, we see this as a reality for likely parts of Iran and maybe even parts of Israel, perhaps back to Tel Aviv, in some type of big event hitting in Tel Aviv. Again, let's hope not. Some of these people migrating will be weather-related, but as the Spirit says, but the visions I was having earlier was what I just said. People fleeing for safety. That's the good word. And who could forget my predictions and my visions of seeing a huge mushroom cloud and a strong feelings that I've had that some type of nuclear weapons or a tactical nuke is going to be used in some way. I saw visions of it. I saw visions of this going back a few years now because we thought and assumed, and we should never assume, but I assumed that it could be likely Russia and the Ukraine thing. And it still could be both. One uses one, it might give the other idea to use one. But it won't last very long, says the spirits. So let's hope not. But remember my symbols and visions that I had of the radiation symbol and the visions I had of the fallout shelter signs. Meaning, it's easy to put those together. And as much as I would like us to believe, perhaps even blame, Russia for being the first ones to ever use such a weapon, I actually feel That if it happens, hopefully it doesn't, in the it's going to happen in the Middle East, and most definitely would likely be Israel being the ones to use it. Hope not. Could even, and of course that would be United States too. Let's hope not. United States is guilty of using one before. Let's hope we never see one ever go off again. They should be working on getting rid of them things instead of building new ones. So let's hold in the light again that none of this ever happens. But again, the way my visions and predictions have been playing out lately, one happening after another, it looks more plausible now than it ever has before. And I feel this concern when it comes to American soldiers. I feel concerned for American soldiers in embassies in the Middle East. Likely, of course, the president did too, because they evacuated them. Well, supposedly. They may not all be evacuated. I'm not sure. I felt really a lot of concern around these, though. And I feel like there's an attack that I felt very much was like I can't say it, Benghazi. There we go. The Benghazi. Feels very much like the Benghazi thing. You know, Hillary Clinton, Benghazi, how can we forget that? The deleted servers. I also feel our troops are in danger of some type of sneak attack. I saw drones way above the clouds. Imagine this is somewhere in the Middle East, I would imagine. And hopefully they evacuate these places completely beforehand. That's possible too. Because I didn't see people or anything. I just saw what I just shared with you and what I felt. As sadly as it feels to me that these places probably aren't, especially military bases, are probably not evacuated like they should be completely. I also had a vision of seeing, as I had in the past, oil fields on fire. Sort of like we saw way back during Desert Storm. If anybody remembers Desert Storm, how could you forget that if you were alive? That was awful. And I feel somehow Syria is getting pulled into this big time. Remember what Baba Vanga said, the Bulgarian prophet, who's no longer with us. She stated, when Syria falls, the world burns. And, you know, we thought that perhaps Syria has fallen, you know, as it did, earlier this year, late last year? Do not be surprised at all, friends, that if it didn't completely fall yet, that she saw something even bigger happening, like Syria being completely emptied out in some way. Could that be possibly where these tactical nukes will explode? Let's hope not. Don't want to see them go anywhere. I also see some type of action coming around the waters. And I also see Iraq once again, and even Kuwait somehow being pulled into this. And this could also go back to my predictions where I said crude oil is going to skyrocket in price. Gas is going to skyrocket in price. So be aware of that. Let's hope not on that too, because when gas rises, so does the price of everything else. And I think things are priced out of the hand already, friends. Out of hand already. So I see them getting pulled into it, and do not be surprised at all to see Saudi Arabia somehow weaved into this mess, into this web of darkness in the near future. I see some type of action coming from the waters. I saw visions of missiles being launched from the sea to the land. So I wasn't sure if this was like Iran somehow attempting to hit Israel from the sea, or if it was something different. Not sure. Not clear on that. But Spirit tells me that Iran will target any plane or any helicopter or chopper that they believe Netanyahu may be flying in. This goes to be taking down leaders. So he needs to be very, very vigilant and mindful, because they're watching. I'm sure they're watching closely. They have more technology than people lead us to believe they have, Iran. So don't underestimate them. And remember my past predictions that Netanyahu would be targeted, and he could also be potentially one of the coming falling leaders in the near future. There will also be regime changes that happen in Iran. Isn't that the whole goal here, right? Regime change and take over resources? Probably. And I also spoke about regime change in Iran in the past. Now, the largest threats I feel, they're going to come from the inside. Kind of like, you know, what happened in Israel back in that dreadful day in October. It kind of came from the inside. Well, attacks from within the country, basically, especially here in the United States and other countries, allied countries, who will soon begin to back Israel. So anyone that backs Israel becomes a target. I see some type of attacks happening on synagogues here in the United States, Germany, and United Kingdom. I see some type of fear attack playing out in what appears almost like a theater to me, a church. It was weird. I walk in and I see this in a vision, and I see folks sitting around in seats. I couldn't tell if they were in like a pew, like a church. They were kind of close together. And there was someone on the podium speaking when these bandits entered from the front and from both sides of the back. And I saw them enter. I wasn't sure where I was, perhaps somewhere in Israel, maybe United States, not sure. But it felt like a specific group of people. Like, again, it could have been a church or a synagogue or something like that. Now, the other part that folks are forgetting, the borders. Not just the United States, but many of our allied countries were opened for years, allowing millions of folks, some very good folks, but many of them not so good folks coming here for not so good reasons to pour it across our borders. And you don't, in my opinion, need to be psychic to figure out that the bad guys took good advantage of this. Everybody, even the good guys took advantage of it, but the bad guys took advantage of it too. And they entered our countries, and they had been laying low, planning, waiting for that green light. And that green light, friends, especially when it comes to Israel, is about to light up. So could this soon be this coming weekend? As soon as this coming weekend? Let's hope not. Also, sounds convenient from the globalist psychopath perspective, hear me out here, to have well-funded, well-organized, right, well-planned protests while slipping in less than smart folks, and paying them to bring chaos to these situations. Plan the country's first military parade ever on the same day, the 14th, tomorrow, and then have Israel attack Iran days prior to all this. Almost like it's perfectly orchestrated. Like this weekend, tens of thousands of This weekend, tens of thousands of people are going to be gathering together, right? Tens of thousands of people, protesters, all with, good intention, mostly, 95% good intention. So there's 5% that, we just mentioned that are just there for other purposes. But these protesters are literally placing themselves right in the center of vulnerability. So let's, again, hold in the light, because these protests, as I said yesterday, are going to spread across the world. Let's hold in the light all of our cities and all of our countries for positive outcomes, because we don't need anything negative to be happening, especially when thousands of people are in the street making themselves very vulnerable. Now, because if you think about it really clearly, this could be a very dangerous situation that could allow one or multiple psychopaths to seek out some type of revenge. Or, as I stated again in yesterday's video, before I recorded yesterday's video before the announcement of the whole conflict between Iran and Israel ignited. But you may consider sitting this one out this weekend. Just saying. Having a lovely weekend, sitting at home with the home and family. Just a thought. Now, I see clients on weekends, so I'm home anyway. Now, another concern I have, more like a sudden message, actually, that I received today from Team Spirit. I feel that there's a stadium, perhaps multiple stadiums, type of event that is being targeted by these radicals. Perhaps it's a football or a soccer stadium match of some sort. I know there's one in Florida this weekend. I don't know if I feel like I might have been in a different country, though. And even large concerts, too. Large concerts. First, I feel a stadium needs to be the most aware, because I saw visions of things being dropped in trash cans around the stadium. And I saw some things being planted under vehicles, mainly under the gas tanks, I guess to cause big boom booms, I would imagine. And I saw men in the parking lot like sitting back waiting for the event to end, as if maybe they were going to do something else on top of that. Not sure. I didn't see the whole thing play out. Don't want to see the whole thing play out. So being I didn't see it play out in my vision, and I saw it being orchestrated, maybe it doesn't come into the light. Maybe they get caught ahead of time. That would be fabulous. We can hold that in the light. All perpetrators are apprehended beforehand. And then the warning, once again, goes for outdoor concerts and large venue events. Be mindful if you're out attending an event, and don't let any of this deter you from going out and having fun and knowing that the angels got your shoulder, are over your shoulder and got your back. Mindfulness, remember, can save lives. Walking around, drinking, and not paying attention, well, that doesn't really help you. Mindfulness, again, saves lives. Now think about this, too. Problem, action, solution. This is exactly what the globalists are moving forward with once again. From riots, again, to immigration issues, leading to digital IDs, the mark of the beast, and, then fly a flag ever so falsely to push the United States into fighting, another conflict. Problem, action, solution. Remember that. Always keep that in mind. And more than anything, as things progress over this coming weekend, we will address all the details of this on Tuesday's Tea Time as we review past predictions, world events, and how they affect predictions and prophecy with new predictions each week. We'll go into more detail of what's happening, and we'll have to see how the weekend plays out. Hopefully it plays out peacefully. That's what I hold in the light. But the other side of me, the intuitive side of me, doesn't feel that that's going to be the case. I hope I'm wrong. I'd rather be wrong than right. But lately, it's just like bowling, one strike after another. It's creepy. We are in crazy times, friends. And remember, don't be so sensitive or emotionally. We got those Cancer transits going in place that make people a little more sensitive. So just get out, be cheerful, have a good weekend, celebrate life, celebrate you, celebrate the things that you love the most. And I will see you next week. And again, maybe before that, we'll have to see how it plays out. I might see you Sunday or Monday. Not tomorrow, though. Got plans. But it's just the way things are. I'll be popping up more often than usual. So, friends, until the next time, remember, be bold, be true, be kind. Be you. Let your light shine ever so brightly. Have a beautiful weekend and a beautiful rest of your day. Namaste. And much love, friends. Much love.